With us now is NewsNation political power panel conservative commentator Dr. Lauren Wright and Democratic strategist and former New York State Senator David Carlucci. David, Lauren, great to see you today.
Hey, Anna.
Good morning.
Well, so Republicans have alleged for months that Smith's investigations into Trump amounted to illegal political activity. We remember the headlines from a while ago, too. But before leaving the federal government, Smith dismissed charges against then-President-elect Trump. So, Lauren, how do you expect this investigation to play out?
I don't think it's going to go well for Republicans. You know, I study public opinion, I study presidential elections. With the midterms coming up, I just think voters don't want to look backward. And the risk for Republicans, of course, I agree in principle if there's a Hatch Act violation, that's very serious. But I do tend to look at these things through a political lens, and voters don't want Republicans looking backward. They would probably rather hear about the policy changes unfolding.
Yeah, and it might give Democrats political ammunition for political ads for midterms, too, making those same claims. David, what do you make of the investigation? We'll let you weigh in.
Yeah, I agree. I think this highlights the fact that there's so much going on, and all the Republicans see is how to score brownie points with President Trump. Look, Jack Smith has left public service, and a violation of the Hatch Act, what's the remedy? You get fired. So I don't see much of anything except for political catnip for the right, but it also exposes the fact that they refuse to do anything more than go across partisan bickering. Look, you've got the Epstein files. You could work on that. You've got this issue with the Bureau of Labor Statistics being fired because we have a bad jobs report. And yet, what are Republicans doing? Nothing about jobs, nothing about the fact that prices are going up because of these tariffs across the board. And in fact, they're doing a political witch hunt going in reverse. So I agree with my friend here. I think this is bad optics for Republicans. And it's just another highlight that this Congress and the GOP can't be trusted.
Lauren, I'm going to let you weigh in on what David said about the Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioner being fired. What do you make of that?
It's very concerning to me. And look, you know, I've been a Republican all my life. I tend to personally support Republicans in elections. But when you ask the very fair question, is there anyone that could present President Trump with some negative results and get a good reaction? I think any fair-minded person would say he doesn't react very well to those things. Now, have Democrats politically shaped and framed statistics to their benefit in the past? Yes, absolutely. But there are parts of government you need to take extremely seriously. And if you're alleging that somehow the stats are being juiced or they're being diminished and it's wrong, you better show us the data and show us exactly what you found. And there hasn't been anything substantial there. You know, my take today, basically, Anna, is these are a lot of things that are real and that we should be concerned about, but you have to look in a fair-minded way, and you have to see how the rest of the American public sees them, even if there is something sketchy going on.
All right, let's switch gears and move on to this. Let's talk gerrymandering. On Saturday, a Texas House panel advanced a draft of a new congressional map aimed at adding 5 new Republican districts next year. David, what are Democrats saying about this one?
Well, again, it's just a grab for power. This is extremely unfortunate. As a former state legislator in New York, we've worked to try to take some of the politics out of redistricting or gerrymandering. Very hard to do. Right, this is a power that's given to the legislators in the Constitution. However, this grab for power is again obvious. That what is the GOP doing? Again, they're just focusing on partisan tactics on how to secure power. Now, some of the blue states, like we have in New York, we have a constitutional amendment that has an independent redistricting commission. So it is very hard to do these mid-cycle redistricting tactics. But it's a race to the bottom. How we politicize these legislatures. We have lines that are picking the people. The people are not picking their representatives. And yes, it might be just a blatant grab for power. And that might work a little bit to pick up a few seats here or there. But I think the GOP is selling their soul for a short-term gain for a long-term disaster. What happens is all these political lines have to be drawn. I'm urging my friends in New York not to go down this road. But you see governors in blue states say, we can't just disarm. We might have to do something like this. And that would be disastrous for fair representation for the American public.
Yeah, and Lauren, my producers are telling me that Florida is trying to follow Texas's lead too.
Yes.
I mean, look, gerrymandering. If it's so bad, why is it allowed?
Well, okay, so here's the first thing I can really disagree with my friend David on, because Newsom's doing the same thing in California.
He's not doing the same.
Yes, he's trying to
No.
shape the political map to his advantage. Absolutely. Eric Holder just gave a whole interview how if Republicans are doing this unjust thing, we better do it on the Democratic side too. And that's just basic politics. And yes, you're going to start seeing a lot more of this because Democrats want to keep their states. I think the reason that Texas is such an optical point is it's much more evenly split than California.
I remember learning about this in my political economics class in like the 8th grade.
Both
I feel
parties
like
are going to try to do this.
So why not just get rid of it or have a certain, we do it every 10 years or something like that? What would it take to make that come to fruition?
Well, first, it's in the U.S.
Go ahead.
It's in the U.S. Constitution. It's being done every 10 years in 1790. Other states like New York, California, some of these states have passed reforms, even state constitutional amendments like we have in New York. States like Texas particularly have remained this very loose and have very porous laws and give the governor and the legislature tremendous power to draw these lines and give the people little choice and representation to pick these fair lines. So I think they've bastardized the system, they've perverted it, and it's a really bad call. You have people like Newsom, even Kathy Hochul, that are contemplating and seeing what could be done to try to meet fire with fire. But they're going to have a much harder time because they do have stronger laws on the books. Are they perfect? No. But do they give a little bit of balance to these gerrymandered lines? Yes. And I just think it's a race to the bottom, and Democrats are going to try to do what they can. But I think long term, this is definitely the killing the goose that laid the golden egg in terms of any type of fair democracy and representation in our states.
All right. Well, look, as we inch toward the midterms, eyes are also on gubernatorial races, and former Vice President Kamala Harris explaining why she is not running for California governor. Here's the clip.
I made the decision that for now, I don't want to go back in the system. I think it's broken. I always believed that as fragile as our democracy is, our systems would be strong enough to defend our most fundamental principles. And I think right now that they're not as strong as they need to be, and I just don't want to, for now, I don't want to go back in the system.
I watched that whole interview, and she's got a new book out, 107 Days, and she's released a video on social media about that too. And I kept waiting for her to say, this is what I learned from it. This is what I did wrong. This is how we could have improved things. This is what I would do if I ran again. And instead it was like she was looking backward. And David, I didn't hear her say Trump, authoritarian dictator, but it seemed like she was blaming the system. She was blaming Trump for being some authoritarian type that was able to quash, everything in democracy. And then we have this, and people are criticizing her for doing word salad when this was her big moment if she does want to step back onto the political stage. What did you make of all of it?
Well, look, I think it's her opportunity to come out and communicate the way that she wants to. Is she going to solve every political problem or have the answers and the silver bullet? No. To put this on the I've heard some people say, oh, just go away and don't rehash anything that happened or whatever. I think it's fine. Look, the Democratic Party has a broad a coalition of ideological differences, people coming together from across the spectrum. And so you're going to have this differing ideas of how we win elections, of how we govern. But it's a debate, it's a discussion, and I think that is what democracy is all about, where you juxtapose that to the Republican side, and there's nothing but what Donald Trump wants and says. Doesn't matter about precedent, doesn't matter what people even campaigned on. They will drop their ideals in a second if it meets what Donald Trump wants. And that's an important distinction, I think, between the GOP and the Democrats. Look, Kamala Harris is not the leader of the Democratic Party. We have a broad coalition of voices, and I think that's healthy for the Democrats. But to think that she's the leader and that she didn't have a direct answer of what she won.
It felt like a joke. I mean, Colbert asked her multiple times, who's the leader of the Democratic Party, and she couldn't give a good answer at all. So she basically said she didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Lauren, what did you make of this? Is the reason she lost because of a broken system?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to hear who David thinks is the leader of the Democratic Party, if not her.
Well, it's just like who's the leader of the Republican Party, if not Donald
Trump. Yeah.
Right? Because we're talking about the 28 election. So who's the GOP leader for the 28 election?
I guess J.D. Vance. We could name a bunch of people. Democrats don't have.
Well, I can name a bunch of people as well.
Bench there. Okay. Yeah, right. I want to know who they are. Yeah.
Right. You could go. Kamala Harris could be one of them. The list goes on and on. It could be names that we don't even know right now. But what I'm getting at is that juxtaposition between the GOP and the Democrats. The fact that the Democrats have this open forum. We have different ideals from who's running for office, meeting voters where they are, whereas the GOP has lost that. They've become monolithic.
I disagree.
Well, where's that diversity? Anything that Donald Trump wants or says, the Republicans jump up and just say, okay, you tell me jump, I say how high. And I think that's eroding any credibility that the GOP has.
We love having both of you guys weigh in. I apologize to step on you, but we are. David, appreciate your thoughts. Lauren, you too. I know.
Bye,
next
David.
time,
Bye,
come
Anna.
back. Thank you.
Great to be with you.
Appreciate it.